Is Shay there? I can't tell.
Yes, he is.
Oh, hi Shay. Okay. Thank you.
So, Mary,
Yes.
since we are split, can you record who's here in real and separate the real from the virtual?
What do you mean
So you
separate?
and Amanda are here virtually,
Except for me.
And Tom and Charlie.
Yeah.
and Tom and Charlie.
Oh, separate who's here virtually and who's here.
Yes.
Okay, yes, I can do that.
Thank you.
Let's see, Charlie.
We're live whenever you're ready to call.
I'm ready. Let's call a meeting to order. Thank you for everybody who's here, which we have the full board here, so that's good. First thing I want to do is introduce Ed, who's our new town liaison. Want to go around the table quickly, just who's who?
Yep.
Ed, I'm Michael Coos, the president of trustees.
Hi, Katie Sheehan, trustee.
Cheers.
Amy Engel.
Lynn Odekirk, the treasurer.
Jill Dugas, he's director.
And up
Mary
there,
Harris.
yeah, and Amanda,
I'm Amanda Miller.
Charlie, the president of the Friends,
Hello.
and everybody knows Tom Grant.
Aw.
With the county. Good to see everybody.
Okay, now, and the other thing I want to say before we begin, well, we have begun, but before we get into anything, is that we will have an executive session at the end of the meeting for personnel discussion. We have an issue that we need to apprise the board of. We will do that. With that, let's move on, public comment. And I don't see any public here. Anybody else want to make a comment?
Hold out.
It's cold,
Really?
yeah.
Just kidding.
Sure is. Wait till tomorrow.
Yeah. I heard.
Let's move on. Approval of the minutes.
So one of the things I wanted to mention and see if this is the correct way to do it. There was a motion in last month's minutes to approve the off warrant, and the off warrant did not include the missing August deferred comp payment.
Right.
So the way the motion was worded, or the way the motion is worded in the draft, reflects that report was going to be changed. And so
Oh.
that's really not the case. The deferred comp payment is now part of the end of the, or year end off warrant, correct, Lynn?
Correct.
So I thought changing the motion to reflect that we did accept it, but with the deferred comp, with the missing August 2021 deferred comp to be added into the year-end off warrant report in the February 2022 financials.
You could do that, or you could just remove that phrase and stop the sentence after as corrected, and then it will be in the year end. I mean, you could just, that would be another possibility, to strike that phrase.
That's easier. Your suggestion is easier. That's fine by me. I just thought it needed to be changed.
Yeah, no,
It's good catch, Mary.
it is.
Right.
Okay. All right, so that's my proposed edit. I don't know if anyone else has any others.
Any other corrections or additions? If not, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
We don't have a
I guess I
motion.
need a motion. Tammy makes the motion,
So we're approving them as,
minutes as corrected.
I'll second it.
Okay, Lynn seconds it. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
I'll abstain since I wasn't here.
Okay. So we have 6 and 1 abstention.
I'm sorry, who abstained?
Shay,
I wasn't
Jay.
here last week.
he wasn't here, so
Gotcha.
okay.
And now we're to the treasurer's report.
With that, that gets us to the treasurers.
Okay, I want to kind of update you on a couple of things that have happened. First and foremost, we've begun our work with Brian Zambruglia to start the process of the audit. This would be last year's audit. So our goal was to start in February, and it's February, so that is beginning. In addition, just today, we received our public funds payment from the town of East Greenbush. And we anticipate the public payment from Skodak later this month. And because these public funds represents 97% of our funding, this is really a wonderful thing. So thank you very much for the prompt payment. It won't be reflected in today's, because it just arrived today. So I'm just giving you a heads up. Okay, with that said, I then present for you two sets. One is this traditional off warrant for the month, which would be from January 13th through February 2nd, off warrant and warrant and gifting grant. And the second is the year end for last year. So let's start with the off warrant. You'll see it was $103,132.09. It reflects 2 payrolls, one January 21st and February 4th. In addition, it has several insurance payments and utility payments. And of course, the deferred comp, the 2 deferred comp that correlate to the 2 payrolls. Does anybody have any questions on the off warrant for the last month?
Not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the off warrant.
Which, can you please tell me which, I
Yeah.
missed which warrant you're,
It's the 113 to 210,
It's the one for 103. If you,
103,132.09.
gotcha, thank you.
yeah, it's not in the same order as the agenda. I apologize.
That's okay. So Shay made the motion. Do I have a second? Cammy, second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? I think we got that, everybody.
Okay, so just as a reminder, the off warrant are those bills that we pay before the board meets, so the checks have already been cut and we are just approving it,
We're accepting
or
it.
accepting it, because these bills had to be paid prior to the meeting. Now, the warrant for the period of January 13th through February 10th was $17,442.31. These are invoices received, and we've prepared the checks, but they will be signed once the board approves them. I've made some comments on, you got them in the packet, the listing of these invoices, but in case you wondered about any of them, I tried to list what some of the bigger ones were for, or the ones that were more for a one-time cost. EBI Mechanical, that's a biannual HVAC maintenance contract. Brian Zambruglia did some work to help us prepare a report called the AUD report that is submitted every year. Who's that submitted to again, Jill? Does that one go to the state?
Comptroller.
The controller, yeah, also state controller. Kamali Group, you'll recall, that's for the divider in the room across the hall. That continued work. It will be reimbursed in part under the construction grant that we had. The Dell EMC was for the Dell laptops. I just always try to bring our attention to how big digital materials have become, how big a part of our budget. So overdrive alone was $2,500 last month. And then finally, SendSource, that's the annual fee for our libraries, cloud account. Any questions on the warrant from the detailed listing that you got?
I have one nitpick.
Okay.
I
Answer it.
always thought that, and this is BPI Mechanicals, I always thought biannual was every 2 years and semi-annual was twice a year.
Oh, biennial? No, isn't biennial every 2 years and biannual is it twice a year?
Well,
Yeah, that was my understanding as well. Michael's thought was mine as well. I thought that meant what
I,
he said.
I'll be honest, Denise and I had a discussion about this for about a half an hour yesterday. She looked it up and we found that the biannual can go both ways.
Oh,
But semi-annual is clearly half a year. This is a half a year payment.
Mary, I would like to edit my report to semi-annual
Okay,
HVAC maintenance contract, because it's twice a year,
It's twice a
not every
year.
2 years.
so do you, okay. But I don't see that in your report.
It's in BPI Mechanical.
Oh, biannual, I got you. So you want it to be semi-annual.
Make it semi-annual. That is clearly a half a year.
Okay.
Yes. Well, thank you for that edification.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm happy to learn.
I mean, the internet was all over the place with that.
I'm going to ask.
Okay, any other comments or questions? If not,
Can I, yes, I just want to clarify on the agenda, the February, it says on my agenda, I don't know if there was an updated one. February 10th for this warrant, but the warrant says February 11th. So I want to make sure what day.
That's-
Pardon?
That's the day that report was
printed.
printed. It really is for, I don't think there's anything that's for the 11th. It's just the day it was printed. So it really was, I mean, I don't think it's a huge issue, but it really was through the 10th. There
Okay,
were no checks cut after the 10th
okay,
on that, on the warrant.
okay. Thank you.
If nobody has any other comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion that authorizes me to sign the warrant.
I'll make, Katie,
Katie? Second?
I'll second.
Oh, Mary's
Okay,
second.
Mary second. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Saw everybody's hands. Okay, good.
Okay, now we've decided this year to begin doing a monthly gift and grants. Gift and grants are those expenses that are made out of the kind of dedicated and non-dedicated gift and grant funds that we have. And typically we have done it maybe once a year, but we just felt we should really be looking at this every month. So now that's a new thing we're going to have. So we have a gift and grant report for the period of January 10th through, oh man, was that the date of? I wrote here the 20th, but it really is the 10th.
February 10th.
So 113. 113 to 210, let's say it's the same as the other ones. So the gift and grant, in that period, the total was $2,181.19. The biggest piece of that was the purchase of that big book truck that the Friends are going to use for book donations, right, Charlie? That the thing you're using for book donations? From Gilderland Library?
Yeah, the shed, the book shelter.
Yeah,
The outdoor book return.
outdoor book return that we bought from Gilderland. So that was the major expenditure at $2,000 during that month. Any other questions about that?
How come there's two separate ones? There's vendor one, vendor two for gift and grant on the agenda.
Because there's another.
There's a
one.
second one for year end of 2021.
Okay, so that one has different dates attached to it. Gotcha. Thank you.
So Lynn, on the one that you're talking about, it has marine design and service, and it says
Oh,
12/16/2022. Is that supposed to be 2021?
Yes, it is. Thank you very much, Mary.
Okay.
Or it may be 1/16/2022. Well, Jill, you got that.
I
right.
can, if
She
you
can
give me a
come-
minute, I've got QuickBooks, I can tell you exactly what it is.
Because it does say December.
Actually, you have the invoice right there. Easier. Thank you. Good catch. Something's wrong.
Which,
And I thought that came out of the computer.
Yeah, that would change the date.
we change a year. It is the December maintenance.
Well, yeah, but this is 113 to 210, so we should have had, I assume the other one is from 1 to 1.
Yeah, those are the fish.
December 16th.
a year.
There's two fish tank invoices. One is dated December 16th of 21, which I assume that is December
That
16th
is,
of
yeah.
21. So that should have been on the
The
2021.
December
50
maintenance, so probably should have been last year's, but.
So just a clarification from the good thing is from the auditor standpoint,
Gift and grant is,
any of the warrants themselves, they could be the list of list of purchases, doesn't matter if they're separated as one year versus the other year, as long as the dates are correct. So we need to amend that date. That's
The
very
21.
important.
yes, we do. And this is the gift and grants anyway. Okay, thank you, Mary, for your eagle eyes.
So then what is the date? We use the date of 12/16/21 through 2/7/2022?
No, because you have another gift and grant there that has a bunch of dates in it.
See, this is the date of the invoice. The lines over there are the date of the invoice. And so that's, these are checks that we will sign. If you will approve them, we will sign now. And so the date of the check is going to be 2022, but you don't have the date of the check. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that check is going to need to be voided and recut.
So the only identifier for this, for the motion would be, because this says vendor
Want me
date.
to take it out of there
It would be
entirely?
to approve the expense. It would be to approve $2,181.19. So I think we need to
Correct.
approve the.
I think that's what we do.
That's
We're
what-
approving the total expense, that the expenses are legitimate. We have to do a couple of
We're
corrections.
gonna have to edit the date and cut a new check.
Okay, so could you kind of walk me?
You don't,
through-
that doesn't have to be part of it. The motion is to approve the 2181.19.
Okay, and is that still considered the final 2021 gift and grant, or?
No,
What do
no,
you-
this is for this month. This is the one that ended on February 10th.
Okay, so you want the motion to authorize the signing of the gift and grant expense
No.
in the amount of 2001.81.19. Yes.
No, this one doesn't get, I don't believe we signed this. I've never signed these. So this is just a motion to approve the gift and grant expenses in the amount of $2,181.19.
Yes, motion to approve the gift and grant expenses in the amount of 2181.19. Yes, okay,
Yep,
Yes.
got it, thank you. And that will be as corrected because you're changing the date is going to be December.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. So do you need a motion?
Yep,
All right, I'll make the motion if you want.
okay. And Cammie's gonna second it.
Okay.
Okay, we did we vote?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Any questions, comments? If not, all in favor? That's it, everybody.
Okay, as we mentioned at last month's meeting, there were some outstanding invoices to be paid to close it before we could close out fiscal year 21. So what I've done is I've listed all of them in one. So the idea being, I don't know, Michael, do you think we can do it as one motion, or you want me to do three?
Do it as one motion.
One motion to approve the lagging fiscal year 21 expenditures in the amount of $6,035.95. You can see it included that deferred comp, Mary, that you spoke of earlier. It includes, some books, a big Seasons East bill. They're the ones who do our snow plowing and all. And then that's
So this is let's see, approve the final expenditures as opposed to accepting or authorizing again?
correct, because these are 21 bills, but for the most part, the checks have been cut
Yes.
because we're into February. Ideally, this would have been settled before last month's meeting. It didn't get settled, so this will be to approve the expenditures.
Off warrant of 1875
Right,
and a warrant of 3878
.84
and
and
then a gift and grant.
of 281.74.
What's the total of those three?
$6,035.95.
We accept those.
Oh, instead of approve, it's accept.
Right, we accept.
Because I believe they've all been,
They've all been-
checks have all been written, so
Right,
at that point, it's very difficult for us to approve it.
Mhm.
okay.
I think we still have a little explaining to do to Liz and how it works.
Yes.
Checks are still. Checks are.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, do I have a motion for that? Okay, Katie? Second? Tammy?
It's Bob.
Katie and Tammy.
Katie and Cammy, okay.
I know, I'll call you guys fixed.
Just for purposes of the minutes, there's 4 motions in the treasurer section this month, as opposed to what we have, right?
three for fiscal year 22 and 1 for fiscal year
21.
That's correct.
21.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right.
Okay, so we had the motion, the second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Everybody, oh, okay, carries.
I am sorry to say that, I don't know if you read the last paragraph, but there were issues with the P&L and the balance sheet. And we are not prepared to discuss them yet. We will present them to the board next month. So
So that completes your,
that completes my.
everything else? If not, thank you. Let's move on to committee reports. Amanda.
All right, can you guys all hear me?
Yes.
we can.
Okay,
Loud
great.
and clear.
awesome. Yeah, I haven't had to do this before to a room full of people. over the Zoom. Okay, so we had our meeting on February 3rd. There were a few things that we went over. First was we discussed committee meeting time changes, and I know Jill sent out a survey to everybody. Make sure if you haven't submitted it that you do so, because it's mostly like just what your availability is for meeting time, not setting anything in particular in stone yet. So that's probably gonna be worked on a little bit longer. We also talked about the depreciation threshold that the auditors recommended in the 2020 audit. So we still need to approve or revise the depreciation threshold as per their recommendation. Liz offered a proposal to pay recurring bills via EFTs instead of checks. So vendors would be pre-approved at the beginning of each fiscal year. But for right now, we're just going to have Liz investigate all the mechanics of how we would pay them via EFTs, make up lists of what we would pay with them and present that to us so we can take a look at it, because it would make it easier for her, but we also have to make sure we know what we're paying each month. We had the Meraki Wi-Fi proposal. So we needed to move the Wi-Fi around the building for better coverage. They suggested that we buy an extra router to help with the coverage issues. We approved that. We're going to be looking at purchasing power and depreciation, as I said, throughout the year. Skodak, we deferred that to next month's meeting for time, ran a little late. And we also discussed a potential COVID bonus for employees. We are going to be discussing that at a future meeting, either this meeting or some other meeting. We also talked finally about hacker coverage, ransomware attacks. So we're going to get a quote for the coverage from our insurance broker. And that was our meeting. Any questions? Good. Thoughts? Cool.
Are we in motion with that?
The paperwork was sent out to them.
Okay.
So
Nothing new there.
nothing new.
For what was the paperwork for the
For
hacker?
the cyber,
For the cyber,
insurance rider.
yeah. And then the big thing with the EFTs, in concept, it sounds good, but sometimes you just sign up and let them take whatever the cost is. And so theoretically, the money could be taken before we have a chance to even review it and approve it. So we want to figure out what method we use and make sure we do it so that we do proper oversight. Those are the only comments that I have. Okay. Nobody has any other comments, questions? Thank you. That moves us to service committee. Cammie.
Sorry, you guys online. I just sent the minutes this evening, so sorry about that. I'll send you a copy. We also met on February 3rd. So it was myself, Jill, Michael, Shay, Katie. Talked about several things. The first was Jill gave a great review of Teams, which is our collaboration tool with apps for all of us to use. And Jill asked if everyone had gotten into their new library emails and if we had gotten around to, going on to SharePoint and to see in Teams, and this is how we'll eventually be communicating with each other versus our personal emails. We talked about the racial equity training, and it was recommended from the service committee for the whole board to participate in this training. We were given several choices on how many days we would participate. So we had a 2, 3, or 5 session choices. I think it was agreed that we would at least do my memory might not be right and I might not have the correct notes, but we would at least do the 2 sessions, so 2 90-minute trainings in person with the McLean group, which is paid for by Upper Hudson Library. And for our board. And Katie graciously offered, personally, she wanted to do the full 5 sessions, but I did hear from Upper Hudson, we had our board last week, that their board training is only for their board.
Oh, so I can't
So,
go.
yeah,
I'm gonna talk,
you could, yeah, you can definitely.
I got invited to participate.
Mhm.
I mean, he did a poll on when.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I got invited to that. It only went to 14 people, but the one option was that we could send a
Yeah.
representative to Upper Hudson. So,
And then come back
and then come back and report to us.
And
That was
report.
the smallest commitment
that was the
option
smallest.
for us.
Right,
And so that's the one that I think Katie wanted to potentially be a part of. So I'll
Or-
talk to Tim about that.
yeah, I thought,
I thought
it
that
sounded
would
like you wanted to.
I
really-
thought that would just be a nice way to enhance it. Like,
Yes.
I erred more on the side of more than less, but
Mhm.
that wasn't the general consensus. So I thought as the kind of a compromise, I'd be happy to do it on
Make up
behalf
the
of
other-
our board
yes,
and then
yeah.
just kind of exactly beef up the 2 trainings, or
Yeah,
however many
yeah.
that we all received.
I will contact Tim.
Yeah.
and follow up on that.
So to be continued on scheduling that. The Little Free Library update, Jamie, who's the contractor and builder of the Little Libraries, he posed a question to me whether or not the stakes could go in the ground with cement or just if a metal stake was acceptable. Jill was reaching out just to research that. We'll get back to him. I can't do anything now, so it's not like a huge
It's all frozen.
rush. Yeah, it's all frozen. Auto renewals is something that started at the library February 1st. So basically the concept is if you borrow a book, it's automatically renewed for, we're allowing, and I might be hopefully saying this correctly, 2 times, 3 times. I'll correct I think we were thinking about changing it to 2, but so that's only if the book does not have a waiting list of other, patrons looking for that book. It would just be, renewed automatically. We definitely had a little discussion about that, whether or not it was, a good thing for our library, our community, our, the stock, what we have here on hand. If books are just out like month out, so that's also to be continued to see how we do with that. And if there's books out there that people are looking for and they're just on this auto renewal, that, not going to make for happy customers. The best of updates. So the Times Union, as I'm sure everyone knows, does the best of in several, a lot of different categories. And Jill, along with other representatives from the town, did a very cute YouTube video showcasing the different areas of the town that you could possibly vote on if you went onto the Times Union website. Our library obviously was one. We did come in second last year. Who won? Sanford?
Colony.
No, anyway.
They're a lot bigger.
So they are bigger, they are the whole town. So that was very cute, and I thought it was well done. We also talked about future meetings, changing the day or time, and that, again, to be continued, but good meeting overall.
The only comment I had is on the survey. I went into that survey a couple times. The first time I went into it, it only had like 2 days worth of time. And then I went into it again and it had a whole week worth of time.
It could be to where you were, because it kind of.
No, well, there's a scrolling bar at the bottom and I scrolled it back and forth. So I had Monday and Tuesday and, as options and not the rest. Then I went into it again today. Then I got one and it had the whole thing. So I worked it all the way through and modified it. And then today I went into it and again, only had the 2 days.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's a browser issue. Because the survey hasn't been changed.
I didn't think the survey was changed.
Did anybody else experience issues with the survey?
I just went on once. I mean, and I was able,
You got the whole week.
got the whole week. Yep.
Okay.
I eventually got the whole week, so I did fill it out.
So we're talking about two different surveys. You're talking about the meeting survey, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Voting ended February 4th. And so we don't have any official updates yet. However, I was looking to see because they have condensed the list. Their list was very long and it looks like there's only 5 libraries on there now. We are there. East Greenbush, Sanford, Bethlehem, Dublin, and Clifton Park.
But those are the
So
ones from last
for
year.
best
too.
library. So
Oh,
I
okay,
don't know
okay.
if that is actually the final list or if that's
Mhm.
last
From
year's
last year.
list. I don't know.
Mm.
So voting
Awesome.
runs from Friday, February 18th to Friday, March 4th. So voting starts Friday, February 18th. It looks like this is probably the list.
Mhm.
We haven't been officially notified, but I don't remember if we actually got notified anyway.
This is the one where you can then vote every day, right?
Now this is the part where you vote every day.
Oh,
And what are the dates again?
It's February 18th through March 4th. And I believe, so East Greenbush Schools made it. And the best suburb, town of East Greenbush.
wow.
made it.
Oh, my gosh.
And if this is the correct list, I don't know if the town park made it or not. Anyways, it's hard to, I'm just looking through it now, so we'll move forward.
When
It
you,
looks like-
when you finally find out, can you send us all an email
With the link.
with the link, but also tell us which ones,
Which categories?
categories we should vote.
You'll put it in that Friday.
We'll put it in our Friday e-news, but I'll also post it on Teams. And we'll work with the town, with Mike, and the school and whoever else is, that if the wise but nominated, we'll all work together for Team East Greenbush.
Cool.
Anything else for Cammy? Services. Amanda, I have one thing I think you should list yourself as one of the attendees at the admin.
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know. You issued the minutes and did that and signed it, I know, but as you didn't list yourself as an attendee.
I'll make sure to do that next time. Thank
Right.
you.
Okay. All right, that gets us to the director's report.
Okay, we had, winter reading is just about finished. We had a great winter reading this year. We've also moved forward on our construction grant project. All of the orders have been placed and we are looking forward to finishing that up by June 30th. That's our target goal for that. Automatic renewals went live February 1st, as was discussed in the services committee report. We had 2 film showings for Black History Month that both got, they were the same day, and it was the first time that we did same day film showings. Just to see, we were experimenting to see if we could show things mid-morning and midday, and would we get people, and they were both, we had good showings for both of them. Good. Which was great. We also had a fabulous online program, the snow day that we had. So the library was closed because of the ice storm, but we still had our online program for, it was an overdrive, a Libby
yeah.
program on how
Yeah.
to use Libby. And we had close to 40 people attend that, which is great. So we're definitely going to do more of that. Actually, Selena, who was here tonight, worked on that program with Karen, and they both put that up which was fabulous. I would like to draw your attention to the report on pages 3 through 4. There are some great charts on our collection usage compared with the other larger libraries. And I would like to give credit to Bethlehem Public Library, Catherine Stoller-Peters there, because she pulls this data every month. So she's agreed to include us in that. And it's a great collection of resources of data. It's a nice visual for us to see that we are really all kind of following these same trends, which is quite fascinating. We have gotten some great feedback about the automatic renewals from the public, and we are continuing to monitor and make sure that our shelves are full of popular materials for people to browse. So we'll update you if any changes need to be made to the amount of renewals to make sure that we have good collections.
Hey, Jill,
Yeah.
I was curious about the Hoopla, looking at the printout on Hoopla. It looks like a couple libraries kind of flatlined on it. So does that mean that they're not Hoopla users, or am I reading it incorrectly?
So Colony Library and Gilderland stopped offering Hoopla.
Okay.
So your observation is correct,
Correct.
Mary. They flatlined.
Dead in the water.
And it's interesting because it didn't really affect their overdrive.
No,
Yeah.
it didn't affect their overdrive. Isn't
That's
that interesting?
weird.
It's they're different collections.
Yeah,
They really are different collections.
Right, because Hoopla was the one that during COVID was really funded a lot by Upper Hudson, wasn't it?
Yes.
So they probably made the budgetary decision, or may well have made a.
Well, what it was is we started it before.
Correct.
We
Then Upper
started before
Hudson did it
COVID.
for everybody.
Uh-huh.
And then Upper Hudson at the end dropped out. So I guess those two libraries decided not to continue it on their own.
Right.
Correct.
Okay,
Any questions about my report
so. Anybody?
or anything
No,
else?
it was-
Ed?
No? Okay, let's continue on. Next on the list is personnel memo.
Okay, so I would like to present before you with a modification, which I apologize for this. This should not be Susan Caldwell, so please correct this to Sarah Caldwell.
And is it?
SARA.
SARAH Caldwell. She is a former part-time children's librarian here who works elsewhere, but is agreed to fill in for a couple of shifts for us right now, temporarily. So this is not, she's jumped in on a weekend rotation, not in perpetuity, but as a substitute basis. This is there was a question on Teams about how we deal with substitutes, and there is a budget associated for substitutes every year. And we have, it's usually between 3 to 5 people in total that are that are on our substitute
That are on the list.
that are on the list between adult, youth, and circulation.
So
And
is
we
this
try to take
helping a
people
little
off the
bit with,
list when they're not actively subbing, just so we're not carrying them.
is this gonna help a little bit with all those vacancies?
This is helping us on the interim. We've posted the full-time and part-time library assistant position. We've had a few applications. So
See where it goes.
hopefully we'll see where it goes.
You put it up on Facebook, like say we're hiring, like on your Facebook page?
I don't know if it's on our Facebook page. It just went up this week. I will double check. It's on our website. It's been posted on Indeed and on all the library sites. And it will go out in our weekly newsletter. And I'm sure it will make it on Facebook if it's not on there already. There's a whole marketing plan for jobs.
The library systems have a similar system as what's the
OLAS.
OLAS? Do they have an OLAS type system?
Yep, so that's been posted on it's been posted on several lists. It's been submitted to Capital District Library Council, Upper Hudson Library System, and NYLine, which is the New York State list for libraries. And I also sent it to our partners, the Y, the town, schools, asking to please distribute if possible, through, to other employees and networks, personal networks. So hopefully that'll be posted. People will share it widely. These positions are great positions, and you don't have to have a master's in library science. So we're hoping to get someone local who really loves kids and has some experience working with kids to work. And they're professional positions, working with our youth services team, who's just really dynamic and really dynamite. So we're looking for some really good people who will stick around.
Are they salary or hourly?
So the full-time position is salaried with New York State retirement. It's $37,515 for the full-time position, and the part-time position is $19 an hour. And it requires either a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree and 2 years of library experience. Everything's on our website, so you can direct people to our website for the application and the job announcement.
And the part-time has no benefits, Jill? It's just a hourly?
Correct, it's an hourly $19 per hour. It is retirement eligible for New York State retirement.
You got the retirement, you got the standard mandatory, what we call mandatory benefits.
Right. So it's 20 hours a week. It's a substantial part-time position.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the personnel memo as corrected.
I'll make that motion.
Lynn, second. Tammy, seconds. Any further discussion or questions? If not, all in favor? Everybody. Okay, thank you. Next, gets us to old business, but it's new old business. First item on it is, as everybody knows, the rules in New York State regarding mask recommendations or rules have changed. And so, Jill, I'm going to turn this over to you. What you think about it and where we go,
Okay,
what we consider.
yeah, I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay. So I'm going to do two things. The first thing is I'm going to pull up our current plan, safety plan as is. It's on our website. It says click to see service updates. That's where you find where we are with what type of safety services we're providing to the community. We have our more extensive safety plan up there, New York State safety plan, but in a nutshell, the services that we're providing to the community and how we have tied services to the CDC community transmission rates are here. You'll see that in periods of high or substantial transmission, face masks are required. Right now, according to the CDC community transmission rates, we are in the high transmission phase significantly. Although the rates are falling very quickly, we are still at 200, approximately 200 cases per 100,000 right now. And to move to the next level, I have this in front of me. It's about 100 cases fewer. So we're pretty far off from even moving to orange.
However,
Right, so that's just where we are right now. After a lot of things have changed, right? There's a lot of data that's come out, a lot of things have changed. This is community transmission rate. It doesn't talk about hospitalizations. It doesn't talk, this is, I think at this point in time, it's time for us to look at a different metric. And I don't have a different metric to propose to you tonight, but what I do have is I'd like to remove the color tie to the CDC transmission rates right now, because I don't think it's the most accurate rate for us for some of these services. I did survey the staff. We've gotten substantial feedback from the community, including some very, very irate community members with staff members. We've surveyed our staff, and you will find a fascinating, out of 29 people who work here, just like our country and our community, we are divided right in half. So there are 15 people who are in favor of requiring masks for the public to use the library, and 12 who are not, who would prefer that the public does not wear a mask. And then there are required for staff while working at the library, 15 for and 13 against. And we asked other feedback, you know, there's some great comments in here, and I'm not going to go into the detail about this, other than to say there is no clear cut. We're not going to be able to have a really nice, simple, easy decision.
Jill, as you put it the other day, no matter what we decide, half the staff's gonna hate you.
Yes.
And probably half the community.
And half of our
And half the community.
So this is what I'm recommending. And then I'd like to open it up to you guys to discuss, and ultimately it's up to you. The governor has removed the mandate. The schools right now are continuing to provide masks probably for another 2 weeks. We'll see what happens after February break. The town, as of today, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a staff meeting today, and I believe that as of today, the masks are optional for people coming into town hall and for staff.
The staff too.
Staff too, yes. So what I think we need to transition towards no masks. What I'm recommending is that we will not require masks for patrons coming into the library, but I still think it's a good idea to put up, CDC is still saying in these communities, you know, we recommend masks. So I think we should still recommend, you know, that we recommend mask wearing.
I agree. I like
But
that.
we're not going to, it's just such a challenging situation, and our staff are vaccinated, and I'd like to not put them in the position where they are in enforcement roles, because if you have a policy and you don't enforce it, that sets you up for legal ramifications. And if you're trying to enforce it, it's just the interaction is really negative. And right now it's really volatile situation. Interactions, with some people, most people are very pleasant, and it's fine. I would like to, at the beginning, still have staff wear masks, but have support from you to give me the ability to remove that. Because what I'd like to do, some of this feedback gave me, and we had a department head meeting and we discussed, and I think there are some situations and some scenarios where we should require masks and some scenarios that we shouldn't. And I'd like to go back out with some very specific questions for them about certain areas. So for right now, and this would also be a transition where we're transitioning out of masks until we work out how to make everybody on staff, or more people on staff, feel safe working, because you are here for a full day versus someone coming in and out. I'd like to recommend that we require masks until we go to the staff and really ask the questions about some of these specific areas. The other piece that I'd like to have for right now is that we require masks at our programming, at public programs. And that is because they're in smaller spaces and you can't guarantee the 6 feet apart. And what we'd like to do is actually start bringing more people in the space. And there's very limited number of people right now in the programs. And so we're gonna have a hard time with that, with staff feeling comfortable if we remove the masks right away and increase the number of people that we're bringing into spaces. And I really think that the need to bring more people in for programming, it's a need. There's waiting lists for some of these programs. So I think that'll change pretty quickly. The numbers are going down. You know, we're gonna need to be able to pivot very quickly and come up and talk about a plan. What happens when the schools don't require masks? I mean, I think that's gonna be a major game changer. Then it's us in the hospitals, you
From
know.
a state standpoint, they're still required. Right?
Right now.
Yeah.
Schools are.
In schools,
In schools, yeah.
but the governor has, so
But she's implied that in March, it'll probably go away.
She's implied she's gonna talk about it.
right, we'll see. Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna be a fast and furious, because I think you're gonna get a lot of pushback from teachers. And from some families. And I just think something that we need to keep in mind is that people who are happy with things aren't necessarily yelling at the top of their lungs. So for example, like the school plan last year, when the kids were going hybrid model, people were up in arms, making comments on Facebook, flipping out, screaming, sending emails, superintendent, assistant superintendent. Their voices were being heard because they were yelling the loudest. I was happy with the plan. So I had a number of people approach me, you need to get involved with this. And, you know, I took a stand, no, I don't. I like it the way it is. So I made sure that I contacted administration and let them know, just because people aren't yelling and screaming doesn't mean that everyone is unhappy. Like sometimes you stay quiet when you like the way that things are trending. So you have people who are irate now, but you have to consider the people on the other side of it who are thankful for this additional safety measure, because think about all the vulnerable people who come into the hospital, elderly, children. Like I would definitely want to talk about, even if the library becomes unmasked, what about the children's area? Those kids can't get vaccinated. I would think long and hard if I had unvaccinated children about coming into the children's room, and that's a big part of what makes this library special. So I understand, and like, I work as a teacher and a bartender. So I am a public facing employee through and through. And I've been in uncomfortable situations and positions, but at the end of the day, I think if you're mad about not wearing, then I just feel like if you have a vulnerability or an issue, I think that trumps, I'm mad because I don't like it personally.
I'm on the Colony Library website and it says, for the town of Colony, masks are no longer required in town buildings. That's on their library website.
yeah, Colony is a municipal library, so they follow whatever the municipality says that library follows with policies.
True, all right, that makes.
So they're
That's
not
like a town-
independent.
Yeah, I would think,
I agree with her. My mother is stage 4 breast cancer and her counts are down, so she doesn't go out or do anything. I think if you leave it up to people and say, if you're not feeling well, if you feel compromised, wear a mask. Mask is going to protect you by us wearing it, then it's going to protect you by wearing it.
the 95 masks.
Yeah, I mean,
What's now recommended.
this is really.
That's the one that's
We're
now
not, I can guarantee that we're gonna have, be somewhat split here, just like. we
Oh, no,
are
and
in-
you guys do what you're gonna do, but I'm just saying, as a reasonable thing, if you feel like you're compromised, or you think you're gonna get it, you wearing a mask should protect you. Just because everybody else isn't, doesn't mean that you can't be protected by that mask, if they truly work.
Well, I guess I'm of the opinion that if you, it's very similar to yours, I mean, if you recommend wearing a mask, people can make the choice that they personally are comfortable with. Does that mean that everybody, I mean, does that mean everybody who's not vaccinated will wear a mask? No, because a lot of them won't. But if you're concerned about those people infecting you, you could wear a mask. And if you're willing to.
And shift to
Chance,
the
you cannot.
N95 or KN95 mask.
Right. Well, I mean, everybody has a choice to decide what kind of mask they wear, but I don't know.
I also think it's a narrow margin, 15 say yes, 12 say no. Well, what if already having staffing shortages, what if of those 15, a couple of those people are close to retirement or nearing the end of their career or physically compromised? I know as a teacher, waiting for the guidance, I didn't have an option, but a number of my colleagues were like, done, and just retired or walked out, left the profession. Not to mention like the additional stressors. So yeah, there's the stressors that come with saying, please wear a mask. But if your stressor is, oh my gosh, I'm physically compromised, a lot of the data says that the masks protect, I protect you all by wearing a mask, not vice versa. So yeah, if it's an added level of comfort for me, great. But at the same time, if an employee is physically compromised, they're not protected by the public if we're giving the public the option. Same with those unvaccinated kiddos that are under 5 years old. And I understand that you're isolating a portion of the population now because they're mad, because they want to be unmasked, because they don't agree with the politics or the policy, but they still have, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they still have a choice in the matter where if it's a health and safety issue, I don't feel like it's as much of a choice per se.
I just,
To that effect, if you're gonna say that, then you would have to mandate that they have the N95 mask. Because these don't protect.
Let's not get into this because, look, I mean, overall, so my background is in science. We've ignored the science, right? And that's because people won't get vaccinated. You need to get to 90%. We can, this is a social decision. This is not based on science. You want to look out 3 months from now, the BAT2 Omicron variant is coming. So now we're going to be going back to this, but we want to do this to make a transition. And I get it, right? People are at their end, but that's the science. That there's no, like, this isn't this is an opinion. That's what, this helps, right? It doesn't help 95%, but it helps. We've made a decision as a society that, we're not going to do a mandate. We're not going to vaccine mandate. We're not going to make, get to that 90% herd immunity. So this is a social decision. So I'm fine with a transition. I would say be prepared to go back because it's coming.
That may happen, yes.
It's already happening in several countries the same way it started, Omicron started in South Africa. So it's coming. So we can start this transition, see where it goes. That's my opinion. We can start this transition because, again, it's a social decision. It's not based on science.
well, and I think because they've made this, the decision, I mean, the governor has made the decision. I mean, I just think it's very hard to,
It's hard to keep.
it's hard to be, when the governor has said you don't need a mask except in schools and hospitals.
Agreed.
I don't see how we,
Social-political
I don't
decision.
see how we say you have to have a mask. We're not a hospital, we're not a school, we're a public building.
You could wear it. I mean, I'm down on the concourse. half the people that are down there wearing them and half of them aren't. It's just, I'm wearing mine, when I don't have to, but I do,
Well,
and just
yeah,
personal.
I think the answer is masks are recommended.
Mhm.
And you will get a good majority, I think, people who might still wear the masks, and you get some that don't. I know that's what's posted in Massachusetts. When I go over skiing, in the lodge, they have signs, just masks are recommended. And it's about 50-50 with people wearing masks and not wearing masks.
I honestly don't feel very strongly one way or the other. I feel like this is, no matter what.
You're gonna catch the heat.
Right. I think it's,
Definitely.
personally, I wear a mask.
I think it's dangerous territory to say it will be required in small rooms. And I understand that justification, even if it does go recommendation, but I think that the same people who are irate now to be told to put on a mask it creates confusion, and now it's gonna be, those same people are going to be irate if they think, I don't have to wear it in the library. Oh, wait, now I have to wear it in this scenario. And then my other comment would be,
I agree.
would we consider, if we're gonna create addendums, if this, then that, if meeting space, yes, mask, if other recommended, would we want to lump the children's room into that again, because those children and those families don't have the choice of vaccination? I think, I don't know, on the one hand, I think it's confusing, even though I get it. I think that it's going to anger the same people, but I guess if we're going to go that route, I would recommend lumping that children's room, which is isolated, into that same recommendation.
Did
So
the children's room ever reopen?
Not like the play area, just the
Oh,
whole
okay.
area, in my
Right.
opinion.
Right. So the reason that we were saying programming is not for a, let's protect the community, but we have staff who will be in closed places who feel uncomfortable. And so it's to protect the staff that feel uncomfortable. The staff out at the service desks feel like there's enough protection with them, with the barriers that we've put up and with the airflow in those rooms, that they're okay. Now, I would say every single staff person feels that way, but even this, as we discussed at department heads, and there are people who are very much in favor of wearing masks, but are saying, but really here, it's gonna be okay in these areas, but it's a real problem for me to offer programming and be in a space with kids who are coming up to me and, it's interacting with me, and I don't have it's a disservice to say, well, you have to stay 6 feet apart from me.
Are we still running the ventilation at full ventilation?
Not at night, but during the day, yeah.
During the day, it's still at full, not size from the room size.
Yeah, so we're bringing in,
And
so you
these-
hear this
these-
is all fresh air intake coming in.
It's not all fresh, but it's as much fresh air as we can get in there.
Right.
The system has fresh air that goes to every space. It was sized according to codes, and in areas such as this one, we actually have monitors that monitor how much carbon dioxide there is, and based on carbon dioxide, it actually puts in more or less ventilation. Now, we bypassed those and gone to full ventilation everywhere. So it's as much as we can. And from a density number of people in this building, we're not close to the capacities that they're designed for. We're not even close. So from an air change, we're in a pretty good shape here. But I don't think you can put 50 people in this room. That'd be a different story.
Right now, I think we're at 23 people. Is the capacity that we're saying is okay for this room.
I just worry because if the staff is concerned about being a police, I think that the risk that if you say recommended mask and then suddenly it's required, to come into a session or required to go to the children's area.
It's not.
I don't think it would work in the children's area because you have to come into the library anyways. And there's nobody policing or there's nobody who's there when you're entering. You're not signing up. A program, you're signing up. So just like some programs would have a participation fee, activity fee, or different things, you get that information in advance. So for a program, it would be, this is the expectation of the program, that masks are worn at the program. We did do that before. When we removed masks, we still had masks at programs, and that was something that we just did. Because that allowed us to provide programs earlier than everybody was comfortable doing. And that's why, people voted for us, because we were open when other libraries weren't, because we started providing things sooner. But this is tricky, and
So what kind of time frame do you want for us to make a decision or decide or do something?
I think you need a decision tonight with what we're going to do with masks for the public.
So we're not tying it to a metric. We're just deciding here and now, are we removing the requirements?
Yes or no? Do we want to continue?
So the metric is the governor.
But that's,
Honestly.
yeah, that's.
Metric is saying, well, instead of CDC, we're going to align with the governor or not going to align with the governor.
And
Or we say we're going to stick with CDC requirements, and when they update them, we're going to update them, which is what we've done all along.
yeah, but they've really fallen out with essentially what they're saying is that's their recommendation. They're not going to change their recommendation. But what's happened is the politics, or I guess as you say, the social, has really sort of now
Taken over.
pushed it. And so they're saying basically, or as I heard it, which made most sense of how I would figure it out, is what they've done is push the responsibility or the rationalization from the government to the individual. That's essentially what they've done. It now becomes, rather than making rules for all, you figure out what you feel comfortable with and protect yourself if you feel that need.
Well, I will make a motion. I will make a motion that we follow Jill's recommendation, which is to recommend but not require masks for all patrons, requiring masks at public programs, and giving you the authority to make a decision about staff mask requirements.
But before we vote on that, can we just clarify,
Absolutely.
moving forward, if we make that motion here and now based on what's happening right now, what's it based on moving forward? Like, what would force us to say, no, we have to go back to requiring them, or no, we're never going to require them again? Like, I don't want to make it arbitrarily based on this moment right now. I want to know, I don't know, to me, it has to be tied to something. I guess if we're saying we're tying it to the governor, so be it. But I just want to know, what are we tying it to before I make a vote?
Okay,
I don't have an answer for
we
you.
have a motion.
That's a great
I
question.
have a second. Okay, now we're open for discussion. Before we say anything, I'd like to ask Amanda and Mary if you have anything that you want to say or add, because unfortunately that's sort of pushed off to the side.
Well,
So. I'd
Well,
like,
I
Guys.
mean, I'm not at this meeting because of COVID, so. But the people involved were both wearing masks, so it's hard to say. It's like it's honestly, I'm more with Katie on this. I think I think my thinking is that while you guys were talking, I agreed with the idea of making, if we decide to go with the programming requiring masks, make sure we declare it up front It's one of the biggest complaints I see on Facebook is a lot of people saying, you've changed the restrictions. Like I went to a concert a few weeks ago and they changed to requiring vaccines. But the people who bought the tickets originally that wasn't the case when they bought the tickets. So if we do this, we got to make sure it's crystal clear what people are getting into when they sign up for a program with us or when they're coming to the library. So if we decide to go to the program, it needs to be in every single thing that we say and make it clear when you're signing up, when you get there, that these are the requirements. But that's my 2 cents.
So I'm with Shay on the science part. I mean, I do think it's a social issue at this point. I also think that it's not enforceable if we require masks. I'm not a fan of requiring it for this, but not for that, because I don't think there's any magic to it. So I just, and I appreciate that, you know, staff is concerned. Staff was concerned when they were coming back to work too. I think everybody, including myself, it's the fear of the unknown. We don't know where it's going to take us. But I do think that people, and I'm sure our community, we want to move forward. And so I think if the Y isn't, there's no masks at the Y, the town isn't requiring it. I understand, you know, the schools and the hospitals, we aren't a school or a hospital. And people have a choice. If they want to go to the library when there's no masks, they can go. If they don't want to go to the library because there's no masks, then they don't go until they have a comfort level. So my feeling is that we can, you know, it can be, I think it should be optional, because I don't see that, I haven't seen a whole lot about the masks preventing anything anymore as these the variants come, they show up. So I'm not a scientist, but I just think it's too hard to plan by the CDC saying one thing and then the county's not enforcing things. The town isn't requiring it, but here we are in the library. We're going to have our own rules. So I think it's nice to give it as an option and maybe tell people, you know, here's why we have it as an option. And people are going to do what they want to do. So that's my 2 cents.
Can we use as the metric that Katie's talking about, staff? So if we get 10%, 10% would be 3 people. 3 people get COVID on staff in some time frame, you know, a reasonable time frame, not 2 months, but you know, if we do this and we're already short staffed as it is, if we were to have 3 people go out, we need to revisit this because clearly the staff aren't being protected. So maybe that's the metric because, you know, we can't afford to have that many people out. Again, you know, that's why I'm throwing out 10%. That would be 3 people. And ultimately, you know, you're talking about legal responsibility, we have the primary legal responsibility with our staff versus, you know, public member comes in here, says they get COVID, well, prove it, right? You know, you're not going to know where they went. Staff members around public cycling through, if we don't, you know, if we do this recommended but not required, I think the staff, if the staff, we reach a threshold of staff getting sick with COVID, then we have to revisit this because it's not working, right? And you know, this is as much of an experiment as you know, the town's doing and anybody else, right? So
That's very reasonable.
But how do we decide that? Shay, how do
Also have that stipulation, and if you get 10%, then everybody has to wear a mask coming in because you don't know where it came from.
right.
But how are we tying that to staff getting sick from being in the library?
If they test positive for COVID, if 10% of the staff test positive for COVID and have to go out, then we need to revisit what our policy is on masks. That's what I'm, you know, what Katie was talking about. What's a metric to come back and evaluate this? Use staff, right? Does that make sense, Mary? Or
So to come back and revisit as opposed to, well, if 10% test positive, then we're going back to masks.
it would force us to come back as a board and decide, okay, do we need to, I mean,
Because I see some, if you look at that, if staff, Amanda isn't here today because of COVID, but it's not that Amanda got COVID, right? It's a family member somewhere else, and Amanda, it doesn't have. So just because someone is required not to be here because a family member is COVID doesn't count.
yeah, they test positive, yeah,
The test
test
positive.
Well,
positive,
in
not quarantine.
some of them get it, have nothing to do with work.
Yeah.
Right.
They may not have been here.
Yeah, but either way,
They get.
if we have lose 10% of our staff, we need to figure out.
Yeah, I'm fine with that idea being a metric and just saying we have to revisit it.
Do you have concerns about any of the staff? Like, I don't mind it being anonymous to us, but I imagine you know who's who and who said what and such, but do you have concerns about them leaving or just really being up in arms? Because I understand the side of not wanting to fight the battle. That's not fun. But if 15 people are saying, yes, keep everyone masked, then they'd rather fight the battle than take the risk. Like, they're more comfortable with masks than they are,
But they don't want,
or they're more comfortable fighting the battle than,
they don't want to fight the battle.
no, but they voted, yes, they want to keep the masks on. So to me, that says they're willing to fight the battle because they want to keep the masks on. If they cared more about fighting the battle, they would have said, take the masks off, then they don't have to fight that battle. You know what I mean?
But are they the people?
Am I inaccurate in
Really
thinking
tricky.
that?
It's really tricky.
It is, because we're talking about the staff being comfortable and what they want to do versus the community. Like, it's two different,
Right.
I just think it should be a personal choice. If the staff want to wear a mask, they feel
Wear a
more
mask.
comfortable, they should wear a mask. And
But there are certain areas, let's say we've got an office, a closed office space with 4 people working in it, sitting this close together for 7 hours. I want to be able to make those nuances where in those spaces you have to wear a mask. Because that's different than you're out on the reference desk or you're over here and you're not really around people for 7 hours at a time. You know, and I'd like to
So-
have their input on those things that are important to them, because those are the things that they're telling me. There's
So-
certain things that are really important.
And we're not gonna say masks are are we gonna say masks are optional or masks are recommended?
I think
Are
we
we-
should say recommended.
I like recommended.
So masks
I don't
are
think-
recommended,
No, I
and
mean-
let that drift into the direction of,
You
you know,
say masks,
gradually
highly
the masks disappear.
We had a mask mandate. I worked for the Department of Health and I was on the COVID. It's just now transitioning to another staff member, but I was on the COVID response internally for our agency for the last 3 months. So we had a mask mandate that you had to wear the mask at your desk unless you were actively eating or drinking. That has been removed because of everything that has gone on with the governor. You do not have to wear a mask to come into the building, to be on the concourse or anything downtown. The commissioner, Dr. Bassett, she's obviously vaccine, and she wants everyone to be what she calls up to date, which is vaccinated and boosted. If you can't get boosted or you choose not to be vaccinated, then they're recommending strongly to wear a mask and to socially distance yourself.
See,
These
it puts it on, what you're saying is that puts it
On
on
the
you,
individual.
based on what you are.
True, but
Not-
these decisions didn't come, in a half an hour meeting. I mean, she's working with the top people, medical science and, these decisions are not reached lightly and they're not, because the state of New York the residents are getting tired of wearing masks and everyone's getting angry. I mean, they see the numbers going down and
Then, Mary, do you have the motion written down?
Linda.
Not well.
I made the motion, but
But I think
Lynn?
in the motion is our, like, Jill has our permission and our, you know, blessing to pivot, like.
to
you said.
pivot and modify, absolutely.
Right, I mean,
Oh.
and we're always on email, we can always, you know, come together if issues arise that.
But the basic start of it is that it's recommended,
That's the motion I made.
that you made. Okay.
Just thought we needed a motion on the floor to,
And basically what it means, if someone comes in here without a mask, we're not gonna yell.
right, and there would be a sign that said, we recommend
The
everyone. wear a
mask,
mask.
sign changes from required to.
Mhm.
I need to have some kind of motion. I missed it, Lynn. Sorry.
Move to recommend but not require patrons to wear masks inside the library. Require masks at public programming. And require masks for staff. But authorize Jill to, well, I guess I'd authorize her to do two things: make decisions about staff mask requirements based on, I guess, forget the based on, just require, like, authorize Jill to make decisions.
Modification.
And modify, and revisit this based on
We don't
staff.
need to, I would say,
Yeah.
let's do that informally, right? I don't want to make it.
That's a good,
Yeah,
yeah.
just
policy,
authorize
right?
Jill.
Yeah, I think we just say if there's,
If there's a need to do it, we went through COVID
Okay.
together.
Mary, did you get most of that?
Well, let me tell you what I got, and you guys can, it's move to recommend but not require patrons to wear masks inside the library. Require masks at programs, public programs, was it?
I said public program.
Yeah.
Public programs. And require staff to wear masks. Is that what you said?
Right.
Okay.
We're just
Um,
saying sponsored programs.
Oh,
Okay, so the library.
Library
sponsored.
sponsored, that's,
Okay, and require staff to wear masks. But the director we're authorizing the director to modify those requirements as
for staff.
for
And
staff.
authorize director to make modifications to requirements for staff as
For
needed.
staff.
Okay.
Hey, Lynn, what's your staff doing now? Are they wearing masks optionally or wearing them all the time they're in the library?
Jill?
yeah, Jill.
All of
You're
it.
talking to
Oh,
me?
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I meant
no,
Jill,
no, no.
sorry.
Right now, that's.
Everybody.
Everybody's wearing
it.
Public.
Got it.
Public.
Thank you.
But today is our first time we've gotten together since the modification to the mandate. Okay, anybody want to discuss this further? If not, let's take a vote. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposed?
I will abstain.
Abstain. Amanda, what are you?
Opposed.
Opposed. Opposed, okay.
So 5 in favor, 1 opposed, and 1 abstention.
Yep.
Okay.
That takes care of that.
Okay, thanks. I will update you guys on what we're doing with staff. I really would like to get, there's more questions that came up in the survey that I'd like to delve into before
Okay.
working through that.
Jill, the next old business one is the strategic plan.
Yeah, I emailed out on Teams, so this is something, and if there's a copy here for anybody, we had talked about at the last committee board meeting that we would be updating our strategic plan. We would just be revising our current strategic plan and moving for the next 2 years in September, we would start, September or October, we'd start going out for really revisiting our next public strategic planning. We'd go through the full process.
Push that off till October.
Right, so what I did was take our current strategic, but we've already met most, all the things that's in our other strategic plan, so I've taken out the topic areas and put in here targets, priorities that we have for the next 2 years for us to meet. So you can take some time to review that, I think, and we can discuss it at committee meetings. I think we're gonna have a time, hopefully, possibly at the next committee meeting where we'll have a little bit of a joint time. if
Yeah,
possible.
we have it for, well, this makes it 2 topics, so we might want to make the
Just
joint
make one
period a
big
little longer.
meeting, or we can, so anyways, or we can discuss it, you can provide feedback over Teams, and if we're ready to approve it at the March meeting, we can approve it. I think
We'd like to
cover this.
approve it at the March meeting, so I let
Approve
Jill.
this. You're saying approve this, I missed that.
Yeah, we need to approve, I'd like you guys to approve this, so you have some time to read here.
But you need a chance to read it, and
You need a chance to read it, and
I don't think I saw that in team.
Just came,
it just went through tonight.
Oh, okay.
So this is, so we're not gonna talk about it
Katie would
tonight.
like to do that. Put something.
So we just got that?
Yeah.
Just
Tonight,
got
so
into it like half an hour ago.
Okay.
we can't approve anything tonight.
No, so just take
This
it,
is just.
and then we will, I'll work with Jill on the next, at this point, the next committee meetings are still on the same schedule. I think at that committee meeting, we can decide if one or both want to change at some point. But what we can put this on that. What I was proposing is that at the next one, which we have the 6 to 7 and the 7:30 to 8:30. And then there's a half hour in between, which if we have something that covers everybody, services comes early and administration stays late. And I'd really like to put the one new business item that we have there, the bonus item, as a joint discussion of that. Especially with what we still have to do tonight. I don't want to start getting into that discussion here now. If we're done with that, let's move on to quick reports from the Friends first, Charlie.
Hi, everyone. We just had our meeting for February. We kind of chatted through some issues, kind of charting ahead, planning the sale for April, trying to figure out the logistics on that. We had the printing company print out and mail the membership forms for 2022. So those went out last week. We started having those come back in the mail already. Started getting some of those in. But other than that, kind of no big updates or developments. Just kind of starting the year off with the meeting and getting business underway.
The April sale, is it getting to be bigger?
For now, we have it scheduled for 2 rooms, with the multipurpose room being fiction and AB room being, or multipurpose being nonfiction and AB being fiction. I think we're going to work with Jill to kind of track the numbers as they develop.
Right now, we have I think we're gonna need to discuss this further, our service metrics and what we want to do with room capacities and different things like that. So
Okay.
can't make the decision now for April because it's too far away. with
Well,
where
the
we'll be
rules
with
will be in
metrics.
April.
If-
Right.
yeah.
Okay, thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, everyone.
Town of East Greenbush.
All right.
Okay, sorry, my first meeting, so not knowing what I'm supposed to be helping you guys with, which I hear a lot of things that we can help each other with. I'll just give you a little background. I'm former military. I work right now with Rensselaer County in the IT department. Work hand in hand with the health department downstairs, the executive office, on the town board down here. So if there's anything you guys need, want clarification on, feel free to reach out to me and I will do my best to get it. And right now we're going through, at the town, they're going through the ARPA funds and figuring out what they can do as far as what it can be spent on and this, that, and the other. They've already done that at the county. They have a metric. I didn't bring it with me, a thing for paying out bonuses and who is essential workers and not. So if you need help with stuff like that, I can get you the information. Then it's up to you to decide how you're gonna do it.
Now, we heard the county was paying bonuses. Is the
They did.
town- They did.
They did it.
And the town?
Town's looking into it. I'm not sure if they're doing it. Trying to find out more information on it. They just started looking.
Okay.
It's like a 686-page document. And there's like a small paragraph that covers exactly what you want. You gotta find it and pick it out. The hardest thing is determining what's an essential worker. You know, just because somebody went to work every day does not mean they're an essential worker. So. and I can get a
Okay,
lot-
did you say the town is considering bonuses for essential workers? Is that what I heard?
From what I understand, yes.
Okay, thanks.
They've been very vague on that, though.
Okay.
The county has already done that, though. And they actually went through a law firm or one of those consulting firms that does legal stuff with the government and stuff. That's how they figured out how to do this. So it's not like they just went out and said, oh, we found this paragraph. No, this was vetted through legal channels too. Plus, it's a nice feel-good thing for all those people that actually did have to come into work.
Okay, thanks. Anybody have any questions or comments for Ed? If not, Tom. Long last.
County still strong fiscally, bond rating is increased. Sales tax revenue remains strong. Strong shape fiscally. I don't have any additional report right now, but in the next month, I may have some exciting news relative to the county's relationship with East Greenbush. But I'll leave it at that at this moment and hopefully report in the next month. That's it.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a carrot.
Teasing.
Stay tuned, yeah.
We're literally
Cliffhanger,
second
yeah.
top.
Tom, you shouldn't have done that while I'm here.
Oh, so yeah, don't tell Ed any of that, okay? Don't, yeah, man, keep it away from Ed, yeah. No.
Okay.
No, it should be some positive news. We're still sorting some things out, but if it occurs, it'll be very good news.
Okay. Okay, and last but not least, Tammy Upper Hudson.
I don't really have a big report. I mean,
It's pretty
yeah,
business as usual.
yeah,
Okay.
doing well.
Under new business, we have the discussion. I want to move that discussion into the meeting because we do need to get into executive session here on a personnel matter. So we will continue that potential bonus discussion at the committee. Then I want to say, I think everybody should plan on the committee meetings. All of us, at least for that 1/2 hour, be there. But we may extend that another 15 minutes each way, so we get a full hour as a vote.
Compensation study was mentioned. Are we not discussing that tonight?
There's a
I
committee
don't
that's
think there's
working.
anything to discuss yet. We're coming up with our deliverable.
Gotcha.
We did have a meeting, and I apologize, I missed it. Did we have it on the agenda? We should put it on the agenda for committees. Since it's
Oh, that's
active right
true.
now. I apologize, I missed that. So
No, I don't think it's on there.
it's not,
It
it's
needs to
not.
be added to.
It needs to be under committees when they're active.
Can I get eagle eye status?
Eagle eye.
Absolutely.
I'll join the likes of Mari.
Okay, does anybody have anything else? If not, the process is I need a motion to move into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second, Cammy. So second, and I guess we vote, right? All in favor? Okay, so Ed, you get to.
Good night, guys.
Night off.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom.
Good night, guys.
Date on that sale? April 9th?
Oh, the book,
Friends book sale.
the Friends book sale.
Give me a minute. Tell you.
April 9th is the Saturday.
It was gonna go
Well, it's
into
gonna be
Palm
Friday,
Sunday, I think
Saturday.
it said, and that was
Yep.
questionable.
It
Could
was
it go on Palm
recording?
Sunday? That was.
Okay.
I will stop recording. I should stop recording now.
It's still-
And I can follow up with you. It's not.
All right, yeah.
I'll follow up with the exact dates, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Had a wonderful evening.
Is the door still open so we can get out, or do they lock the door? I'll
So you're gonna walk around?
I'll see.
Thank you.
Right.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Take care.
Brought water.
I thought I got booted.
Not like an honest sign. I know you usually take that off.
I'm gonna sign off so you guys can do your executive session thing now.
Really did too.
Are you in it, Amanda?
Sorry.
I'm not part of the executive session, am I?
Oh, yeah. You are.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood what that meant, so I'm glad I didn't just quit.
I will
Executive.
I was ready to leave.
Have you been to any executive?
No.
April 7th through, I gotta email that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I've never been to one of these before, so
Yeah, Michael, Katie and Amanda don't know what an executive session is.
Yeah, we thought
Yeah.
we got booted. 'cause
yeah,
we're
we
not
thought we were done.
Ish, sorry.
Oh, wait, hang on, I'm on live YouTube. Let's stop.
Oh, my gosh.